Hello, welcome back to the Talk of Louisville. I'm Mike Mulrooney. Kelly is still out on maternity leave. She had a beautiful baby girl last week, and the thing is about this big. The baby is tiny. So we have a special guest today, Mr. Barry Washington of Barry's Cheesesteaks. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Brother Mike. How are you today?
It's so good to have you in here. I come across some posts about a year ago, and I knew you were over off Valley Station Road, but the one that caught me, and I think I asked you about this, is you start every post with "I love you more." Where'd you come up with that? That's pretty awesome. Does that get a lot of attention?
I've been doing that, and back even from when I was on Preston Highway. And I used to tell people to be gentle and be kind, and I love you. So one day I was looking at something, you know how you see that butter commercial, and it says better. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I love you better and more better today.
You need to put that on a T-shirt and sell it in. Maybe put Barry's Cheesesteaks on the front and have that statement on the back.
Well, we had had that on a couple of the shirts, but they got so worn out, I just forgot to replace it.
I think that'd be great. You need to patent that or trademark it or whatever you got to do so nobody uses it. There you go. Take that note. Great to have you in here. You got a fabulous, fabulous restaurant there. The cheesesteaks are amazing, but I wanted to kind of get back to how you got started real quick.
Yeah.
I was looking at your website and your story's there, and if you haven't, look out originalberries.com. Is that the website?
Yeah.
And it tells your story. And you started out in Michigan, is that right, as a kid?
Well, I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And my parents, Clyde and Edith Washington, they adopted me on day one.
Really?
I was born in the house I was raised in. My mother, biological mother, she was 16 years old, and she was into, quite a life.
Yeah.
And so she left me there with the Washingtons, and my oldest brother, Clyde, we're actually from the same biological family. And it was kind of wild when I found out everything. And I said, so Clyde, you're my mother's brother? And he looked at me, he would get mad. And I said, so you Uncle Clyde? He's like, we raised as brothers, we die as brothers. And
were y'all adopted together as the pair?
Well, Clyde's older than I am. He was there, and I believe what happened was my biological mother knew of the Washingtons, and Clyde and Edith Washingtons couldn't have children, but they adopted all of us. I have an older sister named Marion and Karen, and what's funny is sometimes they'll say, you and Karen look so much alike, and we just be giggling and looking at people like you are out of your mind. But I guess from just being in the same house, we're a close family, close-knit family, man. And
did you ever meet your mom?
Yeah, I met her. Well, when I found out I was adopted, it wasn't in a good way. It was an argument that happened.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned, get out and find your mammy, the prostitute.
But that hit hard, didn't it?
I was like devastated. And I went to my dad. He's playing his piano. And I said, you're not my dad. And what he did was he put me up on the piano stool next to him, and he put my hands on the piano key. He never would answer that question. And everybody say I'm his favorite, was his favorite. And he just was a good, solid man. And so I'm raised there. We growing up, we got a nice house and things. We're in a decent neighborhood. But one of the things in my neighborhood was the hustle.
Yeah.
The weed game. My brother used to be one of the largest dealers in Pittsburgh. And he actually, sold a lot of weed. And he built playgrounds and stuff, though, with his money.
At least he's doing good things with it.
He did. And so growing up, I'm struggling in school, can't hardly read. And, sometimes you're getting cussed out every morning. You just can't think.
Yeah.
And so one time I told my family, I said, I'm leaving. And they looked at me. I said, I'm leaving. I packed a little suitcase. And I said, I'm going to go be a bank robber, and I'm going to get me a woman. We're going to rob banks. And
Barry and Clyde.
Yeah. And so it was kind of funny because my mother came up the street and said, come on back home, Barry. And because my brothers and sisters, when you're the youngest, you get beat up, man.
Yeah.
But I became quite a fighter.
Did you ever watch Andy Griffith?
Oh, man.
Opie was going to leave home, and he said, "I'm leaving, Pa, but what time's dinner start?"
Yeah. We grew up on that, man.
Yeah, you change your mind when you realize you're not going to have dinner that night if you leave. So
Yeah, I had 100 pennies.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law
loaded.
said, "What you going to do with that?" I said, "I'm going to get me some penny candy every day."
Yeah.
She said, "Well, Barry, you eat a lot of it. You're going to be out."
Yeah, it's a lot of Snickers bars.
Yeah.
So you saw your brother in that in the drug scene. Is
Yeah.
that, and you saw the money he probably had in his pocket. Is that probably what got you on that path to
Well,
quick money?
yeah, but I don't know, like it just was something, when you don't read well and things and you're just basically being pushed through school, you're not being taught.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to find something else to do. My sister Karen used to write on a paper, and she would write everything out so that I can go put in an application somewhere. And I kept that for years. But once I got a taste of that street life, and watching my brother and then watching other family members, we had our own little cruise, man, and we were out there. And in my case, it got I went a whole different levels than my brother did, because I began to sell cocaine and heroin and things, and then I became addicted to it. And so I became people's worst nightmares.
Yeah.
There was a song by rapper Eric B. and Rakim. He said, "I used to be a stick-up kid, so I think of all the devious things I did. I used to roll up, this is a hold up, stop smiling, don't nothing move but the money." Well, that's how I lived. And I became, I guess, quite successful of it. And it created a lot of fear. And I was able to go to different cities and, I can blend in. And one year in 1986, I'm back up there in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And I'm just jumping up there, up in Ypsilanti. I got one of my homies from Pittsburgh there. And I just started sticking everybody up. I'm robbing everybody. I'm shooting cocaine in my veins. I'm just going crazy. And on that Memorial Day weekend, my mother called me up there. She said, "Barry, I got to tell you something." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" She said, your little brother, we called him Tub. She said he came to the house. He helped me with my groceries. He walked up the street and he got shot and killed. Yeah. And that day, I just was running crazy up there, and I done stuck up people, and some other guys were up there from St. Louis. I robbed them, and they caught up to me and took me for a ride. And they was stabbing me, and so I kind of talked to them and got back to the house like I'm going to give them the money. And I got out the car. We just started fighting, and I got knife wounds and about 41
I saw you got stabbed about 40 times.
Yeah, across the face and different places, and I just had to fight until they ran off.
Yeah.
And from that day on, I figured no one else is going to ever be able to get behind me. I'm always going to sit where I can see everything coming. And I wish that would have stopped me from my life of crime.
But you still continued after being stabbed like that?
Man, got worser.
But you don't seem like you seem like such a gentle soul. I can't imagine you being a gangster and doing stuff like that. You're so soft-spoken. Man, something obviously triggered a change, because you didn't graduate high school.
No.
8th grade, 7th grade, something like that.
I was pushed through the highest grade. I went to the 8th grade, and then they pushed me into high school. And so I went to this high school called Alderdice in Pittsburgh. I flunked 9th grade there. Then they sent me back to my neighborhood high school, Westinghouse, known for football, and I flunked 9th grade there. And I made a joke. I said, "See, there's not a school fit for me, because I can flunk them all."
That's right.
My mother's like, "Yeah, you get ready to get something, though, brother."
I'm surprised. I know we do a lot of work in schools, and I'm surprised how many kids make it to high school and can't read.
Man, and it's sad, because some of the programs that they start, they're just pushing people through.
Yeah.
There was this thing called Project Pass. And some of us would go sit in this kind of little special class, and we're doing little special work. And all you have to do basically is showing up, and they're going to pass you. And one day I was sitting there and the principal was saying, well, Barry, this is where we want you to be. I said, I ain't doing it, man. And I went home that day and my mother came in my bedroom the next morning and she looked at me and I said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm tired of being called illiterate dummies and things like that. So once again, that's where I just really dug into the streets. But there was a man that was really good to me. His name was Wade Lipscomb. He owned a barbershop. He was part of the Nation of Islam. Good brother, just loved me to death. And I used to cut hair in my house, and he found out. And they had me come up there. I was scared. I was like, oh, man, they're going to tear me up. And he said, where's your clippers? I said, at home. He said, well, you bring them back up here tomorrow. You be here at 9:30. And I was like, oh, he's going to take my stuff. And when I got there, he gave me a job.
Wow.
And I was one of the youngest barbers in Pittsburgh. I was 16 years old. I didn't have no license. But he just used his talents. I was an apprentice, and I did really well. I used to pick up things and was able to get them done. I got cooking from my mother, calling me in the house on Sundays, embarrassing me out there playing football, and I got to come in and help cook Sunday dinner.
But it paid off.
It paid off.
It paid off.
Yeah.
I think the school system needs to get folks like you in a room and talk to you about why they're failing kids. You could probably tell them what to do to straighten things out and why you were failing and weren't interested in school.
Yeah.
We got to learn from people like you.
Yeah, because when you're just pushing kids through,
yeah,
and in our communities, it was all black schools, so we were getting pushed through. But what I'm learning now, because I done lived in Philadelphia, I lived in Michigan, I was in Trenton, New Jersey. What I'm learning now, schools are more integrated.
Mm-hmm. And they should be.
And they're just pushing a lot of people.
Yeah.
I met some young men that, I would think because of the neighborhood they came from and the neighborhood I came from, that, they got it going on. But they were struggling with reading also.
Wow. Yeah, we've got to fix that. And I think people like you could probably say the reason why, I wasn't interested in school or because school did this really turned me up. There's some lessons to be learned here.
And teachers sometimes would embarrass you.
Yeah.
I was trying to read one day and the teacher started laughing.
Called you a dummy.
Man, and I walked out of that class. And
the tough love era is over.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be tough on kids, but calling them names when they're trying is not going to encourage them.
I got called son of a bee so much that there was this guy was outside one day and he said, son of a bee. And I said, what's up?
What's up? My name. Yeah. That's hilarious, man. I grew up in a Catholic school and I went to public high school, but the Catholic schools, those nuns were rough.
Yeah.
They didn't put up with anything. They call you names. They swat you with rulers. So we had a different a little bit experience as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
So your mom taught you how to cook. Is that right?
She taught me how to throw down, man. And I would cook family dinners. I would wake up on Saturdays, cook the whole family breakfast, made my own little warmers. And my brother would always come up on that day, and he was like, you didn't really cook this. I said, yes, I did, man. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. But it paid off because when I got up to, I worked in a McDonald's that I'll tell anybody, try McDonald's. They have good discipline back then. We would make the burgers and somebody would say, I need 6 burgers. And we would have to say, thank you.
Yeah.
And even in the restaurant, they hear me say that, thank you. And a lot of their discipline was really good. And I admired that. And to speed things up, when I went to live up in the Philadelphia area with my sister Karen, there was a lot of restaurants up there. And this one called Alfalfa's. They gave me the chance and they were like, we know you can cook. And so I started as the dishwasher. When the other cooks would be all hired up, I jump on the line and start cooking. And the chef was like, who is this guy? And they said, that's Barry. That's the dishwasher. And he said, can you make soup? And I created some soups up there and did a lot of specials. And I became, for some reason, I could read those tickets and things like that, dealing with cooking. I can read all that. And I'm pushing out the order. So I became the line coordinator. But then again, I still had that hustling in me. And so when I got up there, I went to different places in Philadelphia. I'm like, we can purchase some weight of cocaine way cheaper than in Pittsburgh. And we can take this and, we could triple it and things. And that's what we were doing.
I could see how that would be hard to get out of, because I think I saw on your website you were making about $5,000 a day hustling drugs.
Yeah.
And I get it. I can't even imagine turning that down. But man, it's such a, like you said, you're constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering if somebody else is going to take you out. So you spent 20 years. How did you get out of that? You said you just walked away?
Well, what happened was I'm up there in Philly, living in an abandoned house, but the heat was still on. And people in that neighborhood, they knew me because even when I was hustling, I was just good to the neighborhood. I buy kids basketballs. Some of the old seniors, they want to go over to Atlantic City and, do their gambling things. So I'm hitting them off,
Yeah.
But when I took that drastic fall, there was a lady named Miss Emma, and I was in bad shape. And no matter what, she sent her kids out there every Sunday. She brought me down there for Sunday breakfast, Sunday dinner. And so one Sunday, I was sitting in an abandoned house, and these thoughts came to me. I'm either going to do life in prison for murder, or I'm going to get killed, or I'm going to OD. And I remember
none of them are good options.
No, and that's what my life was. And so one Sunday morning, I'm walking down the street, and I'm telling you the truth, I was ready to eat out of a garbage can. That's how bad it was. And these two Nigerian guys was out sweeping, in front of their house. And I said, look, sir, can you help me get a little food? And they gave me $2. I went down, bought the food, and I was like, let me go back and just thank them again. And I showed them. And the guy just started speaking to me, and I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? You've been calling me for a long time. I'm like, is this guy high? And so he said, Barry, I'm a pastor. My brother's a deacon. We'd like to invite you to our church service. And that was on a Sunday, a week before Christmas. And I fought hard. I wouldn't get high because I said, I gave these guys my word. And when I went down to their service, there was, it was in a house, and it was a mixed group, man. Some Koreans, Nigerians, everybody. I was like, what in the world? And I was funky, man, funky. And this one lady grabbed, you're Barry. And she hugged me, and people were hugging me. And they had a Bible and a little food. And so I sat in that service, and when he was preaching, it was hard to understand him, but he did say this. He said, Jesus Christ saves lives. Jesus Christ changes life. And he said, is there anyone who wants to accept the Lord today? And I just raised my hand, and I prayed that prayer with him. And the next day there's a big snowstorm, and I stole some salt and some base shovel, but I had to go shovel their stuff. I guess I was trying to repay them. And then I got some courage, and I called my sister, and I said, hey, Karen, how you doing? And she just said, Barry, is this you? I said, yeah. She said, are you coming home for Christmas? And I cried. I said, I don't even know where we live because they got a new house. They said, we'll come get you right now. I said, I need a couple of days to get myself straight. And they came and got me on that Christmas Eve, and I'm funky and dirty. And I told my sister, I'll just clean up, and when mommy gets here, I'll leave. And my niece grabbed me by the hand, took me upstairs, and she opened up a door. She said, Uncle, here's your room. And it was fixed up. And she went over and opened up. She said, here's all your clothes. She is 10 years old. And I found out like 2 years ago that my sister threw all my stuff away, and my niece went to the curve and brought it all in.
That gives me cold chills just thinking about that little girl thinking about you like that.
Oh, and she just loves me dearly to this day.
I bet. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So isn't it kind of dangerous to walk away from that kind of business? Is that when you started moving and trying to get it out of town, I guess?
Well, what happened was I just knew after praying that prayer, I knew I was different. And I was walking down the street one day, and I think I'm going crazy, and I'm hearing this voice say, you got to get back to Michigan. Then I said, that's where I robbed everybody and got stabbed.
I was like,
bad place to go. I was like, this could not be no God or nothing. Now, you know what happened. but I had to get back there. And, you know, it was more better. People were happy that I left because, you know, it came to the point that I'm not buying nothing and you need to give it up or we going to have a problem, you know, or I would rob some dope dealers. I broke in houses. You know, I was a real stick up man. And a lot of times I didn't have a gun. I just was pretty good with these.
Yeah.
And so when I got out of that life, people were really happy. And I went back to Pittsburgh overnight. Then my oldest sister took me to Michigan, and that's where my walk began. And I tried to start learning how to read the Bible. And then a friend of mine convinced me to go work on my GED. And so I went to this place up in Michigan, adult education, and I'm working on my GED. And I smiled at the lady. I said, hey, God said I'm going to pass my test in December. And she looked at me. I guess she was saying, not with these scores.
You got to work a little harder than that.
Yeah. But I studied in the reading and the literature and writing. And I came back in December. And there was 54 questions, and I got 52 of them right. And she said, you're done. And I said, okay, what's next? She says, no, with this score and your first score, you have enough. And I told her, I said, write my mother a letter right now. Write it to my mother. And so then I'm in the ministry, and I'm being mentored, and 2 pastors helped me get down here to go to Boyce. And I really thought I was just, I'm going to go back to Michigan. I'm going to be with the mega church. I'm going to be getting down, jumping off the pews and everything.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm still here, man.
Well, we're glad you're still here because your restaurant is amazing. And that's an incredible story. I can't picture you being a gangster. You just seem so like a grandpa figure to me.
Yeah.
You know, somebody you can sit down and get some great advice, but your story will definitely help change people because they can realize there's a way out if they want.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, I've spoken with different groups and things. I even was on the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I used to go to schools and go in and out of different states. And when we opened up the first restaurant, the goal was there was young men from my church that weren't going to go to college. So I said, listen, we're going to open this restaurant. I'm teach you how to run it. And then I need to go back, you know. And so there's one young man, he's been with me since he is like 8 years old. His name's Malik. He's still cooking with me and a couple other people. And so the whole goal was always to try to teach somebody a trade. Then a lot of people knew that I used to be on drugs, so they would say, well, my brother's on drugs, but he'll work. I said, listen, I'm a hard man. I said, I will not babysit. When a person is making up their mind to really want to stop, yes, we need extra help, but that mind has to be made up.
Yeah.
And you know, I work with people. Next thing you know, they back out there, you know, hanging. And I was like, you got to learn how to separate yourself, lose your friends.
Well, if you'd have moved back to Michigan, you'd have probably fell back in your old ways.
Well,
isn't that where you said you was causing a lot of the havoc?
Well, yeah, but when I got back up there, life is different. I had these mentors in my life, and I was called to ministry and to preach. So I'm in a whole new circle.
Well, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's why I said you can't go back because, you know, it takes some guts to look the drug dealer in the face and say, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. And one year I took my church from here, took them to Pittsburgh, my hometown, and they used to say, your town ain't rough. I said, okay. And so we were coming in, going into Homewood, and they're looking at these houses. Oh, this is nice out there. This is really nice. And we went under that bridge and came out in Homewood. They was like, what happened?
Changed.
I said, I'm home.
On a different side of the tracks.
And we did a block party up there, fed the whole community, had stuff. But a lot of people was on their phones and people were coming up, you know, and some of the guys came up and I was like, what's up, man? You know, they's like, B, we just had to see you to see if this is real.
Yeah.
You know, and people knew. And then there was a couple young guys who didn't know me. And some of the old crew, they walked over. They said, yo, this is Barry Washington. He living legend. He said, back off. And, each time I would go to Pittsburgh, I would set up on the corner where we were selling drugs. I'd bring out a grill and do things. And I didn't have the method to say, man, you need to shake it and give your life to the Lord.
Yeah.
I just blend in. They was playing some of the rap songs. I was like, turn it up, man. And I let people know that, I'm approachable. Had a lot of success, and during COVID, I lost every cent I had and I was depressed here. But each day when I have to come out that door, I just want the light to shine to say, hey, there's still some hope.
Yeah.
There's some hope. I meet so many different groups of people, and I just make friends, man.
I think you need to be in high schools telling your story and letting these kids know that the other path is not the way.
No, man, I'll be up there slamming a couple of them, man.
Yeah.
I done lost my patience. No.
So you got to Louisville and you opened a restaurant on Preston. Is that where your first one was?
Yeah.
And did well.
The Preston, it was amazing because when we first opened, one day I had to run back to Philly and my team called. They said, yo, Rev, we only made $40 and it's 4 o'clock. I said, close.
Yeah.
And so we started, experiment different sandwiches we was creating. This one guy came and helped me with a Facebook page. And next thing you know, it just kept growing. I had to deal with everybody wanting to tell me what a Philly cheesesteak is. No, it's supposed to have cheese whiz.
And you're not a cheese guy. I saw that, yeah.
I told these people, I said, first of all, I lived there. And I learned my trade from a great guy. His name was Gary. He owned a pizza place called Garibaldi's. I thought Gary was Italian.
Yeah.
Garibaldi's. I thought that he was a Jewish guy that wore a toupee and he was bald. And he brought me into his restaurant one year. I'm just getting out of jail again. And he said, I know you can cook. He said, but can you make a cheesesteak? And I was like, yeah. And I jumped on there doing all that stuff. I was smiling at him. He said, stop. I said, what? He said, that meat's dead already. So he put down some meat and he just talked to me calmly. And he said, you treat this right, one day it's going to bless you. And I was like, whoa. So when we decided to do a restaurant, we did Barry's Cheesesteaks.
Well, the story is incredible, but I'll be honest, when you moved on Valley Station Road, I've heard of you before.
Okay.
And I thought you were a chain. I thought you had like 20 restaurants around town, and I was like, all right, we got Barry's the chain, the cheesesteak place coming here. That's going to be awesome. I had no idea that you didn't have more than one restaurant.
No, well, at one time before COVID, we had 3, and we had another small restaurant, Papa B's Chicken and Fish. My little grandkid called me Papa B, so we called it Papa B's. But during that COVID experience, I think I fell into depression. I had to preach my mom's funeral, my brother's funeral, my sister's funeral, my biological mother's. And so mentally, I was just deteriorating.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I would get these pains come up my arm. And one time it just had me stretched out. And so during COVID, my body swelled up to over 350 pounds and couldn't walk. And my wife was like, Barry, you got to go to the hospital. And I looked at her and I said, I ain't going. And I said, God, I don't know how these things work, but you need to send my mom and dad to get me. I'm tired. People stealing my money, bill collectors just taking it. Man. And so we had a franchise deal and, we get back on track. We're thinking everything's going to go well. But I am so glad that we didn't end up doing franchising with that company. Mm-hmm. I am just glad because once they were coming in, they just made it seem like I was the worst business guy in the world.
Some of those people are snakes. They're just coming in to take all your money.
Man. And then they wanted to, change this recipe, change that. I said, no, man, we got to cook the steaks like we cooking them. I learned this up in Philly. Well, we were a part of the chain that opened up such and such restaurants. I said, well, that's them. I said, but we're going to do what we do. Well, you got to do the fresh cut fries. I said, no. I said, because the problem is they're never consistent. So we spend extra money on fries. and then we created our own seasonings. This sets us apart. And so,
you need to sell those seasonings.
well, we do. We sell small ones. We're working on getting a little professional packaging and things. Yeah. And time went on, being out here in Valley Station, there was a young man, I gave him a job. He worked for me on Preston. He was using drugs. I fired him. I was like, you got to go. Well, he came back down here in Valley Station. He looked clean, everything. So we gave him a job, and he was doing good, and I'm helping him with things. And then, I guess he just got caught out there with somebody, and he ended up ODing. And so we helped, with things. And I get a phone call from U of L. And I was in Philly, and my team called me. They said, Mr. Barry, U of L's calling you. They want to talk to you about something. I said, yeah, they want me to write a check. I said, I ain't doing it. They said, no, this guy want to talk. And so we started talking, and he said, can I tell you a story? I said, yeah, what's up, man? He says, man, my sister recommended you. I was like, well, that's nice. Okay.
He said, what is the question?
Yeah. He's like, my nephew was the guy that you worked with, tried to help for some years. And when he died, my sister said, get Barry in there. And so we ended up on the UPS flight deck at the L&M Stadium, home of the Louisville Cards. And so we're there. And so now we're working on what you call some pop-ups. We love this community. I met some great people. I have a great time. It's a little harder on us down here. And we respect it. People like other people's foods. And I have a policy. I don't get caught up in battles, man.
It's tough. But yeah, that's right.
I tell people, like, whatever you like, that's the best one for you. I said, but you're not going to get me to say something crazy and all that. I said, I really don't have time. I said, I'm on a different mission, man. And they're like, what you mean? I said, man, I'm trying to help revive some lives for real. Help people understand that even in the midst of the struggle, you get up and you keep going. Mm-hmm. It got so bad out here one time on us that it was so slow that for 3 months I didn't get a pay. And then one day I go to purchase the food, and somehow the deposits didn't make it to the bank. And so I'm looking around like I'm going crazy, man. My heart thing going off, ticket. And I sat in the car, and I said, God, I need some favor. I need some steaks. I need some fries today. And I ain't got the money. And I went in the Restaurant Depot, and I told them, I need some help today. So many of the staff came, no problem, Mr. Barry. Because every time when I'm in Restaurant Depot, I'm doing encouraging messages, 2-minute sermons and things. And I don't go in there to do that. They're like, give us a word today. And one day I got ready to say, I got a word for you. Leave me alone. My back's hurting, man.
Yeah.
But just encouraging people down there. The managers love me and I love them. And, so when we're in the struggle, we can look back from where we came, and we just got to keep pushing. Mm-hmm. And I told people the truth. I said, I didn't want to live. I did not want to live. They got me to the hospital. The doctor said, your heart is at 13%. If it stops, what do you want us to do, Mr. Barry? I said, don't start me back up.
DNR. Did you have a heart attack or a stroke? Did they ever figure out why your arm was going numb?
I guess my heart couldn't take the pressure. I'd done a lot of drugs too. So my heart was beat up. And when it dropped down to 13%, that means your fluids can't pump, your water builds in your body.
Start swelling up, yeah.
And that doctor, when he asked me that, I said, don't you start me back up, man. And he gave me this look like.
What did your wife think, though?
She was just going hysterical, quietly. And I told her one day, I said, call Pastor Bob, call Pastor this, Pastor that, go find me my suit and all that. And she's like, we got to get you to the hospital. And several, my friends, then my niece, India, she's like, Uncle, come on. Because my sister said India was like, if you die, it's just going to devastate her. Mm-hmm. And so when they got me in there, I'm at Norton's DuPont, And during COVID, they had me on the second floor and they had all the other ones up there. And I'm in there. And so all of a sudden, nurses would come in and they would just sit down and start talking. And, and I'm like counseling them and things like that. And one lady is like scared about getting married. And I'm like, look, in my mind, I'm like, I'm in here because my heart's failing. Y'all keep coming in here disturbing me, man. But that was a time, even in my weakness and frailness, that was just a time to keep pouring into somebody. And those doctors, they did a great job on me. I lost all my insurance. They made sure I got medication. They made sure I still get my appointments. And because I told them, I said, listen, man, when that prescription ran out, I said, it's over. And so they found programs and things they wanted to keep me going. And to this day, there's some of my Facebook friends are from the hospitals and things. And so, that's where I keep putting that I love you better and more better today.
Yeah.
And just trying to, I'm a Christian, but I don't believe in beating people over their heads.
I think you can be a Christian but live by example.
Yeah.
And then when people see the example you're setting, they'll get on that path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down at Restaurant Depot, this one young lady, I won't mention her name, but she's just wild and crazy. And so I would do my little morning devotions for them. And she came up to me. She says, me and my wife have a little business. And I said, oh, okay. I said, what kind of business you got? And she was showing me their hamburgers and she was talking about her wife. So I talked about my wife and things. And then I looked at her and I smiled. I said, I know you get beat up a lot. And she said, yeah. I said, I'm your friend and I will never beat on you. I said, now my position on things is my position, but I believed everybody can be reached.
Yeah.
If he can come look, I'm the stick-up man. I've been stabbed 41 times. I OD'd and ended up in hospitals. And so when I needed that help and I didn't have my Restaurant Depot card, she came up. She said, I got you, Mr. Barry. I was like, thank you. And so my message is, and there's a church I preached at not too long ago, and they wanted to correct me. I said, listen, man, the world's hard enough. I said, I am not going to mistreat anybody. I'm just not going to do it. I said, I am not the sin counter. I'm to be a light, not a flashlight in your face. Mm-hmm. And so I believe it teaches me in the Bible love and kindness, and sometimes when we're so focused on somebody's downfall and sin, we miss moments to help pick them up.
Yeah. But, listen to downfalls and then hear about somebody's success is very inspirational. So now you got this restaurant. What's the key to an awesome cheesesteak? I hear you don't put cheese. You don't believe in cheese.
No, we don't.
So what's the secret to making these sandwiches?
We don't do cheese whiz. We don't
saw that. Yeah.
We don't whiz on your food, man. We do have a nacho cheese sauce.
But it's in the name, cheesesteak. So.
Yeah, we use white American cheese, and if they want provolone, I'm learning a lot of people like pepper jack out here.
Oh, yeah.
Because down on 2nd and Oak, we had a thing of pepper jack. That thing went molded, man.
Really? On 2nd and Oak?
Yeah, people didn't want that cheese.
I thought that area kind of like spicy food. I guess they don't.
No, man, they like the fries to be right, but and the hot peppers, but they never wanted that cheese.
Interesting.
Now out here, we go through a lot of pepper jack cheese, man. I am shocked,
I don't know. I wouldn't have pegged that, to be honest.
Man, and so all of our meat, when we're prepping it up, I know people take some steaks and they come pre-portioned and they'll cook that one up for a person, but we take all of ours and put it on a grill. We prep it up and we got seasonings.
Is it a true steak or do you buy it already shredded like that?
Oh, we
make it all.
Yeah, once it comes in, the way it comes in from Philadelphia, they're in pieces. And so we put it on the grill, man, and we cook it all up and things, and we got seasonings and things that we develop. And a lot of times one person was saying, well, it's supposed to have this. I said, no, that sign said Barry. I'm Barry. So our mushrooms, we add flavor to that. When I was at their Pats and Geno's, they just opening up cans, rinsing them off, throwing mushrooms in there.
That's not original. So you're making it an original. Actually says in the name, Barry's Original Cheesesteak.
I'm giving you the best from all the places that I worked. Our peppers have seasoning.
So you're putting the effort in a chef.
Yeah.
Not just buying it off the shelf, cooking it, and handing it out.
Oh, man, there's a process, man, and I am very particular around there. If somebody's not chopping it right, I am known to come in there and move them, and then somebody ticked me off, and this one girl says, you better straighten up because he's getting quiet. And now there's going to be a problem.
When you get quiet, they know it's about ready to hit the fan, huh?
Yeah, they know. They like, oh, my goodness, and he's not talking to us. There's a problem. And so we got a great team. We got recipes we put together years ago up there on Preston. We used that Grippo seasoning, but it was so small for $6. I was like, we can't do this. So I started playing with seasonings, and we came up with our own. And my godson Wayne said, he's like, yeah, that's it. He said, that's right.
So you got Barry, kind of like Colonel Sanders seasoning. You got Barry seasoning.
It's called the Be Right.
All right.
Because it be right when you get it.
We need to get that out there, get it in stores.
Yes, it is really good. I'm not going to lie. Then we developed flavors now for our French fries. And we even took it to another level because I'm always experimenting back there to see how to do something a little better. We created our own chili. It's not a traditional chili recipe.
I'm going to come up and have a buffet. I'm going to order one of everything on the menu. I love chili. So,
well, who's going to take you home?
Yeah, I know. So I haven't seen your whole menu. When I went in, I used to work from home on Mondays, and you're closed on Mondays. So
we're open now on Mondays.
Okay, at the time you were closed on Mondays, so that's good. So what's the hottest item on your menu? The cheesesteak, or is it something else that you got going on?
We got the cheesesteaks are the number one seller. We have a cheesesteak called the Big Barry, and that got like pepperoni, sausage, bacon, steak, peppers, 2 types of cheeses. It's just
speaking my language right now.
Man, it's a big mess, and we get some really good Italian sausage in. And I have never eaten a whole one. If one of the staff,
we need to do the berry challenge.
Let's
did do a Shirley's Way event. Do a big berry challenge. See who can eat one.
Yeah, eat that whole big berry, and we'll take good care of you.
Yeah.
And then we got wings up on Preston. We did great with our wings, and we developed
got the special the berry seasoning on those too. Or?
We have a wing seasoning just for that. And so one day somebody called and asked to speak to me. And they said, do you cook your wings naked? I was like, what kind of freak is you talking about? We ain't up here cooking wings naked. And my godson,
you were naked cooking the wings.
My godson said, no, they mean without flour, man. I said, I am so sorry. I said, yes, we cook them naked, but we have them seasoned. We created our own barbecue jerk. We got spicy garlic, lemon pepper. Then we got one of the special Barry Be Right sauces. And so it's just about being creative. I believe that God gives us all gifts.
Yeah.
You have a gift, and it's evident. Your gift is building these stores, getting things to people. That's a gift. My gift is just looking. Sometimes I stare at the ceiling, and I could just see a recipe. And so I come in there, put it together. Our chicken cheesesteaks has a process that we take it through. Our burgers are pounded out.
I was going to ask you if you have a good burger.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. It's pretty big, too.
Yeah.
We had to tone them down for some people, man.
I don't know, man. People have a big hunger, so they get in. Everybody likes a good burger, too. Yeah. So the cheesesteaks, is it different types of steak? What type of meat is it? Is it sirloin? Is it ribeye? Or is it just a mix?
Everybody thinks ribeye because,
it's tender.
Well, there's something to it. Ribeye is tender when you buy a ribeye steak.
Yeah.
But when you're getting to ribeye and you're shaving it down, now it loses something.
Okay.
So then in the cooking process, it can get kind of tough and dry quickly.
Because it's pretty thin meat that it's shaved down to.
And so when when I go back and forth, because I deal with the meat companies up there and bread companies, they're my friends. So when I went up there this last time, about a year and a half ago, I told them, I said, we want to switch over to the ribeye because everybody's saying this. And they said, okay, Barry. So what they did was they brought some ribeye out, and they cooked it, and then they brought some different blends out of different blends. And so I tasted this one. I said, this is better than the ribeye. He says, yes. He says, you want some type of fat content in there.
Yeah, so it cooks right.
Yeah, and who wants a dry steak, man?
Yeah.
You know, and so I really go back and forth to Philadelphia, interact with meat companies. I got the bread being shipped down here. It was funny. 2 weeks ago, I was at Restaurant Depot because that's where they ship our stuff to. And I looked at a guy's cart, and it had every item on that cart that we have, that we get. And then he had the wrong bread. He's like, I think we need 10s. I went in that freezer room. I get a little bit of leeway down there. I went in the freezer room. I grabbed up all the bread. I said, how is it this guy got exactly what I got? Well, there was a lot of people coming to the restaurant asking, how do we cook them? What do we use? This and that. When you put it your boxes outside, you know, they're broke down. People actually go to other people's restaurants and they look at what they have.
I would have never thought I would have time to do something like that.
You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. We had a Chinese crew come in there. You know, I'm like, look, man.
China steals all kinds of.
Y'all got y'all. Look, man, when I come to y'all, I want Chinese food, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm telling you, nobody's going to come to you for cheesesteaks, you know, but different people, you know, want to imitate you. But you can buy the same products as me all day. You don't have the flavor.
Yeah, because it's special. Yeah, you're not buying that off the shelf. You're making it your own.
No, we create our own stuff, man.
Yeah. Man, business is so tough. I tell you, there's so many competitors out there. And I think you actually said this, and I firmly believe it. I don't compete with anybody. I'm putting my product there. If you like it, come get it. If you don't, go someplace else.
Yeah, and I had to tell some people at one time, they was on my page, just crashed me. I said, why are you on my page?
If you don't like it, leave me alone.
Yeah. I said, I'm not going to, you know, argue with you about this. I said, I'm just doing what I do.
Yeah.
McDonald's do what they do. Burger King do what they do. Everybody does what they do. I just wanted, look, my name is Barry, and it says it's a gift of God. And my parents who adopted me, I was a gift to them because they couldn't have no children. Mm-hmm. And so I got these talents and these gifts. I want to use it in all of the things I've done, and almost dying several times. I'm still here. So I want to add some type of light and value to people's lives. Mm-hmm. You know, if I had to close down tomorrow, you'll still see me on that page putting out something with some love to it.
Yeah.
You'll see me somewhere. I am the old lady magnet at Sam's Club. I'm telling you, man.
You have that demeanor. Like I said, I can't see you being a gangster. You just have that smile. There's another guy, and I got to get him in here. He works Elevate Louisville, and he was in the Bloods or the Crips or something. He's got this big old 10-year-old smile, and I'm like, I would have never pegged you for that.
Man, you get
He looks like a big old teddy bear, you know.
Yeah, but I go to Sam's Club, and there's always some little old ladies with the big cart loading up all this water. And when I first got out the hospital with this pacemaker defibrillator, and I was just looking like, God, please let somebody come help this lady. I can't do this. So I'm over there putting all that stuff, and she's like, you're so good. I was like, yes, ma'am.
I'm about to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I'm helping you.
Yeah. So, but I just, wherever I go now, because I caused havoc, you know, people would clear off the block when I came down the street. Yeah. And, you know, to this day, man, I look back, though, and I'm sorry for a lot of stuff I've done.
Sure, yeah.
And sometimes, you know, I'm praying and I'm in tears. I know about forgiveness, but I'm like, God, I've done some things out there in those streets, you know, and I've really hurt some people, and then people tried to hurt me. And then there's some of my old friends that, you know, they want to hook up with me, and they want to, you know, hey, man, you know, what about this? I was like, I'm not in that life no more, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's past, and it's time to move forward.
yeah.
So, what's your best sandwich? Your best-selling sandwich?
The sandwich that sells the most is what's called the number two. It's a traditional sandwich. It has the meat, cheese, and onions. And then one of the other ones, it's just wild. One week it's the roasted peppers. Next week it's mushroom.
Really?
And people,
Well, when we get done here, I'm starving. I'm going to get me a sandwich here in a few minutes now that you're open on Mondays.
Yeah, Monday through Thursday, we're open 11 to 7, Friday and Saturdays, 11 to 8.
Okay.
And
are you there all the time?
I'm in there 6 days a week. But my team, one of the great things is when you train people, you're training yourself out of a position.
Well, yeah.
And this is going to free me up. I had to fuss at him one day. I was like, I'm going to fire all of y'all. I said, I don't care, And so we train them in such a way that now if I come in there and jump on the grill, they be like, Mr. Barry, no.
Back up.
Yeah, they said, we got this. And I said, y'all want me to leave so y'all can act up. I'm going to watch them cameras.
Well, there's a difference between running a business and having a hobby.
Yeah.
And if you're doing the work all the time, it's a hobby. It's not a business. So sometimes you got to allow people to do other things. And it sounds like you're finally gotten that.
Yeah.
But it's a trust.
Yeah.
You're building a product that you want people to replicate and have the same quality.
Yeah.
So you got to train them to that point.
Yeah. And they're doing good. And I told them, I said, when we do good, this frees me up to find us the next adventure. And so the stadium opens up. We got 8 games. So now I'm working on hiring people for the stadium to work 8 games. And
it's hard to find workers, man.
Yeah, they come down there and they all cheery. And then when that line hit, man, that's when you see who the Bulldogs are.
Oh, yeah. That's intimidating because people are ruthless.
Yeah. Oh, Notre Dame game that one year almost killed me, man, for real. I looked up and, some people were coming and they was getting off the elevator and we're just in there. And they kept coming close. And I looked, I said, oh, my God, they are all coming here. And we just had to learn how to really throw down. One of my best cooks, her name's Stephanie, she jumped up beside me and just imitated me. She said, Mr. Barry, you need a break. And she just followed all the steps. And, man, we just started pumping it out. And we get to do some catering. And my only complaint sometimes is we're on the 5th floor, the UPS flight deck. And it's called the flight deck because all week long, airplanes literally going right past there. And it's so loud and crazy. And then a lot of the other people, they like, well, we couldn't get around to where you at. I was like, well, fuss with the stadium.
Yeah.
Get us some better real estate down here.
Yeah, well, they got to move you to a hotter spot because I don't know. Like I said, I thought you were a national chain. I had no idea you weren't.
No.
But, you said pop-ups. What are those? You got like a mobile...
Pop-ups now. We bought equipment and we're buying some more. We bought some grills. We bought deep fryers and things. We're getting some tents with our branding on it.
So do you have a food truck?
No truck.
Okay.
But we got all the equipment and we take it. We go set it up at places. UPS told us when there's a lot of food trucks to come in there Thursday and Friday. But then one lady smiled. She said, you need to come on Monday and Tuesday. I said, gotcha. Won't be no struggle.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do a pop-up in 2 weeks over in Indiana, Charlestown Road, Indiana. And we talk a couple car dealerships that, Montgomery Chevrolet, they used to order like 100 sandwiches during lunch rush. And it was crazy. And so we're negotiating. Hey, we'll come over here. We'll do special menus. And just being able to learn how to pop up at different places. We want to get up there to Cosmic Golf in E-Town. I'm going to get up there and meet them personally next Monday. I cannot play no golf.
That's exciting.
But I'm going to take them a sandwich.
Well, that's amazing. Such an incredible story. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I got a feeling when people watch this, they're going to realize that, you can be one way and change.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what it was like for you to change the life you were in, but you've really done well.
Well, it was like one day I was shooting cocaine and heroin, and my sister came to take me back to Michigan, and I just said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of my friends in Michigan would try, hey, come on, man. Here go Barry. Pittsburgh's back. We going to get paid. I was like, nah, brother.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, I got a Bible. I can't read it, but I got it.
Well, you can read it now, right?
Yes.
That's amazing.
I graduated from Boyce College, associate's degree,
Then you got a bachelor's.
and did my master's at Southern Baptist Seminary, theology and Christian counseling.
That's amazing. Well, very inspirational story. Congratulations. What's the website again? Originalberry.com.
Originalberries.com.
Phone locked on me. There it is. Originalberries.com.
And if you go on our Facebook page, look at the one that actually has a cheesesteak on it. I made a
There's some
mistake.
imitators.
I made a mistake, didn't know what I was doing. And somebody is like, Barry, let us fix this for you. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
But you'll see our Facebook page. We got a good website company teaching me new things. And, you know, I'm going to be coming around here learning things from you all because I want to have my own podcast show. There's a lot of areas I want to talk about touching life, man, and just try to encourage the world.
Yeah. Well, until you do that, we'll be glad to have you back on and do another one and help get the message out. But thanks so much for coming in today.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to go get me a sandwich here in about 10 minutes.
Man, bless your heart. Bless your heart.
Thank you much, Barry. Appreciate it.
All right. God bless. See you soon.